Hey guys, welcome back to Blue Dragon RPG Review. I'm John.
And I'm Ava.
And today we are starting not one, but two new series, and we kind of want to give a little introduction. So Ava is going to be talking about Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 from a new player's perspective, because it dawned on us that maybe someone that has only ever played 5th edition would like to go back and try an older edition of D&D. So she's going to be talking about the player's handbook and all of the ins and outs of like how to create a character and races and classes and all that. And then I will be doing kind of a series on the Dungeon Master's Guide for 3.5.
This way I can still be surprised.
Right, because she's my player in one of my games. So I didn't want anything spoiled for her as far as dungeon mastering goes. So
I'll just stick to the handbook.
So she thought it would be fun from the perspective of a new player because she's going to be kind of learning this along with you as she does these videos. Because her and I together have only ever played 5th edition. So I, of course, have played 3.5 for many, many years. I played it since it came out. So it's going to be interesting to see her go through this and learn it along with you guys. I think the series is going to be really cool.
I think it'll be fun.
So we hope you enjoy a little intro video that she's prepared for you. But there's definitely more to come. So
let's get started. Welcome to the first part in our Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition video series. This series is designed to be helpful to players who are new to the 3.5 system. Maybe you've only ever played 5th edition and you're curious about older versions of the game, or maybe you're brand new to D&D and the only edition the people around you play is 3.5. Whatever the scenario, this series will attempt to help you learn everything you need to know to play 3.5 D&D. So, let's jump into it. The core mechanic of 3.5 is simple, and one that you may already be familiar with. Whenever you attempt an action that has some chance of failure, you roll a 20-sided die. It's as simple as that at its core. To be a tad more specific, you roll a d20, add any relevant modifiers, and compare the result to a target number. If the result equals or exceeds the target number, you succeed. If it's lower, you fail. Hopefully hearing that makes learning 3.5 seem less intimidating. Because just like any great tabletop RPG, the purpose of playing is to have fun. Now, the other thing to keep in mind if you're learning 3.5 is that this system was designed assuming that you'll be using miniatures and a grid. If you've only ever played in 5th edition Theater of the Mind style, this may take some getting used to, and may require some minor investments if you don't have any minis or a grid. With that being said, here's what you'll need to play the game. Keep in mind that you won't need all of these things if you're simply a player in someone else's game. Your DM will probably have most of this stuff. 1. The Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual. If you're buying these off a third-party site like eBay, make sure you're purchasing the 3.5 books and not the 3rd edition books. I've had friends that have made this mistake before. 2. A copy of the character sheet. These can be found easily enough online, or just photocopy the one in the back of the Player's Handbook. 3. A battle grid. I really like the Chessex Wet Erase grid, but there's plenty of other great options out there. 4. Miniatures to represent your character and the monsters. Your local hobby shop should be able to hook you up. 5. A set of dice. A complete set usually comes with a D4, D6, D8, 2 D10s, D12, and a D20. 6. Pencils, scrap paper, and graph paper to keep notes and to map locations if you choose to. Now we're going to briefly talk about some basics of the game. This information is introductory, and we'll be covering these topics in greater detail in future videos. Like other editions of D&D, characters accomplish tasks by making skill checks, ability checks, and attack rolls, all using that simple core mechanic that we discussed earlier. When making a skill check, you'll roll a d20 and add your character's skill modifier. That result will be compared to the difficulty class, or DC, of the task at hand. There are 2 types of skill checks: unopposed and opposed. An unopposed skill check is compared to a DC set by the Dungeon Master, such as Jump, if you're trying to jump over a pit trap you've discovered. But an opposed skill check is compared to the result of the character opposing your action, like if you're trying to intimidate or bluff someone. Sometimes your character doesn't have any ranks in a skill, but tries to use that skill anyway, or sometimes no skill applies to a given situation. In either of those scenarios, the DM may ask you to make an ability check, where the modifier will simply be based on your ability score and nothing else. For attack rolls, you would roll a d20 and add your character's attack bonus. If the result is equal to or exceeds the opponent's armor class, or AC, then you successfully hit. You would then roll a dice indicated for the type of weapon you have to determine the damage. Damage reduces hit points, or HP. If you roll a natural 20 on your attack roll, meaning the die lands on 20, then you score a critical hit, or crit, and you do extra damage. Like I said, all of this will be explained in greater detail in future videos. Combat is played in rounds that represent 6 seconds in the game world. It doesn't matter if it takes your group 30 minutes to play a round. In game, it's 6 seconds. Combat starts with an initiative check, to see what the order of play will be for the entire battle. On your turn, there are 3 types of actions that you can take: standard actions, move actions, and full round actions. You can use these in a number of ways. 1. Take a standard action and then a move action. 2. Take a move action and then a standard action. 3. Take 2 move actions. Or 4. Perform a full round action. We'll have a whole video dedicated to combat later in this series that'll explain everything more. Character creation can be done by following a 12-step model. This is just a brief synopsis of each step. First, you always check with your Dungeon Master to see if they have any house rules that you should keep in mind. Some DMs limit what races or classes you can be, for example. 2. Roll ability scores. There are 6 ability scores: Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. You determine these by rolling 4 6-sided dice, ignoring the lowest roll, and adding the other 3 together. 3. Choose your race and class. Races in the 3.5 Player's Handbook include Human, Elf, Dwarf, Gnome, Halfling, Half-Elf, and Half-Orc. Classes include Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, and Wizard. 4. Assign and adjust ability scores. After selecting your race and class, you can then take the 6 scores you rolled up and assign each one to an ability. This way, you can put your high scores and abilities that are useful to your class. 5. Review the starting package. Each class description contains a starting package that serves as a quick build option for those that want to create a character in a hurry. I suggest just using these as examples and just making your own decisions. 6. Record racial and class features. Each race and class has their own special features. You'll want to be mindful of when making certain choices. 7. Select skills. Your character's class and intelligence modifier determine how many skill points you have to buy skills, which are measured in ranks. Each rank adds +1 to skill checks made using a specific skill. Skills will be getting their own video later in the series. 8. Select a feat. Each first level character starts with 1 feat, and like skills, will be getting their own dedicated video. 9. Review the description chapter. Your character's description includes alignment, religion, vital statistics, looks, personality, background, and other character customizations. 10. Select equipment. In this step, you'll be determining your starting gold and buying your own gear such as armor, weapons, and traveling supplies. 11. Record combat numbers. You'll need to figure out your hit points, armor class, initiative modifier, attack bonuses, and saving throws. Finally, you'll choose your character's name, gender, age, weight, etc. This will help you further flesh out your adventurer. And with that, we're going to bring this introductory video to a close. This first video was simply to give you a rough outline of all the topics that we'll be covering in this series. We hope you enjoy and find these videos helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.